Picture this, a sheer wall of wooden steel stretching 40 feet high. Protruding from its surface are amoeba-looking grips in a multitude of colors. Some are the size of your fist. Most are dauntingly smaller. If your first thought is, the only one making that climb to the top is a 20-something athlete, well, think again. Meet Ellen Homeyer. She's 9 years old and one of the youngest members of the Vanguard climbing team.
I like rock climbing because it's basically gymnastics, but on rock. You're doing gymnastics on rock. So I started because I just really wanted to go do it.
For the last 2 years, Ellen has been coming as often as 3 times a week to Vertical Ventures, an indoor climbing gym in St. Petersburg. Her dad, Matt Homeyer, beams as he watches her.
Really proud of the risks that she takes and the challenges that she sets for herself, especially at her age. I think the skills that she's learning on the wall, both mental and physical, they're so transferable to almost anything else in life. The problem solving, the discipline, the persistence that she's learned here, and it's a great forum and opportunity for her to continue to develop those skills as she grows.
Ellen's breaking the mold, but she's not the only one. Juan Collin was born with a congenital defect. The bones of his right leg were twisted and failed to grow. Faced with the option of life in a wheelchair or amputation, his parents made the tough decision to have his leg removed above the knee when he was just 8 months old. Today, Juan is one of a growing number of adaptive climbers. He comes to the activity with a unique set of challenges.
As far as an amputee, some of the challenges I face, some of the routes can sometimes make you rely solely on one leg and not the other. And with not having that leg, I have to get a little more creative with it, do things a little more unorthodox, or rely on my upper body strength a lot more than some climbers would.
His creativity has paid off. Now he competes in the USA Adaptive Climbing Nationals, a sports climbing competition for athletes with physical disabilities.
They break up the competition. In my division, it would just be lower extremity amputees. So anybody missing a leg, a foot, the entire leg, above, below the knee, anything like that. And then they have upper extremity amputees, they have seated, and that would just be anybody in a wheelchair. Those are really fun to watch, actually, because it's literally all arms and it's just these guys that are like hulking up the wall. It's impressive. Like, it's one of those things, people will see me climb and they're like, oh man, it's so inspirational. Like, it's just so nice to see somebody not let something like that hold them back. And then I go to these competitions and I'm like, that's impressive. I'm blown away by what I'm seeing. And it's a really good feeling.
Juan and Ellen are among the shifting demographics of rock climbers, outliers who are challenging the idea of what it takes to climb. The sport's previous trend toward more male than female is shifting too. What's the mix now?
It's roughly 50-50, it swings either way, but definitely it's one of those sports where it's not an all-guys sport.
That's Chris Brown. He owns Vertical Ventures here in St. Pete.
And in fact, the girls tend to do better than the guys at first because they're more flexible, they're usually climbing more efficiently and smoothly, but most importantly, they're not doing pull-ups, whereas us guys are kind of grab, pull, which is not the way you rock climb. Rock climbing is like a ladder you push with your legs.
Indoor climbing has been around for a while. The first climbing gym opened in the 80s, and now, according to Climbing Business Journal, there are more than 400 facilities in the U.S. alone. It's a $381 million industry and rising.
When you're so passionate about something, you think it's the coolest thing in the world. Not only do you think that, you believe it. But then to see all these other people feel the same way it's kind of surprising and not surprising all at the same time. But that's what's cool about it. It's just the way much larger numbers of people are reaching out and trying it and having a good time, and it really changes their lives because they're able to get these senses of accomplishment that create these confident people.
When 62-year-old Terry Malone found out her grown kids had gone to Vertical Ventures' grand opening, she was jealous. She was also intimidated, but that didn't stop her. She showed up and fell in love. That was 1.5 years ago. Now she never lets more than a few days pass between climbing.
It's definitely physical exercise, but it's good for all sizes. You don't have to be skinny, you don't have to be muscly, you don't have to be bulky, you don't have to be tall, you don't have to be short. It's for everybody. And you can be young, you can be old, as long as you enjoy it.
And is she still intimidated? After all, on your way to the top, there's always the risk of falling.
Yes. And I don't like to fall, but you have to fall to get better. That's what they keep telling me. I haven't gotten better at falling yet. I'm working on that part.
Well, practice, right?
Practice.
So what do you risk when climbing? Here's Chris again.
So honestly, the most common injury actually is hurting your fingers, because your fingers aren't used to grabbing onto these things. So a lot of times you can overpower your tendons in your fingers, so you get little tears in there. But rope climbing, the only way for an injury to happen rope climbing is if the rope breaks, which doesn't happen. There's no sharp edges for the rope to cut on. So that's not going to happen, even though your mind is going to tell you it's for sure it will happen. Or your belayer, the person holding the rope for you, can belay improperly and lower you too quickly. You know, that's why we take safety very seriously. You have to pass multiple tests to be able to do the more advanced climbing. So really, finger injuries, sprained ankles.
And what's the biggest risk?
Egos, for sure. Your ego gets checked real quick. But the funny thing about that is, like, it checks your ego, but it also feeds your hunger, because you're like, damn it, I didn't get that one, but I know I can. So you just keep trying over and over and over. You go home, you dream about it. Yeah, that's when you know it's got you.
So, should you find yourself at the base of a 40-foot wall wondering who could make it to the top, don't rule out the possibility that it just might be you. For Tampa Bay Reporter, I'm Shelley Steck-Riali.